add fill lights. In this lab, you will add lamps to fill in the shadowy parts of the stage with light. Goals for the lesson. Add a fill light to the project to lighten shadows. Change the curtain material so it no longer casts shadows. Create a linked duplicate of the fill light. Fill lights improve the lighting by softening or removing shadows that the main light doesn't catch. The fill lights will be linked, which means that if you change a setting for one, the other will be changed as well. Fill lights are usually dimmer than the main light. You'll add a fill light next. But first, quiz. Which of these things does a fill lamp do? Does it make a main lamp dimmer? Does it soften or remove shadows? Does it turn off the main lamp or make shadows sharper? I'm going to go with B. The correct answer is B, soften or remove shadows. Let's go ahead and open up Blender. And File, Open. Let's see, I've got my Unit 3 Lighting version 2. So that's what I'm wanting to open up. Perfect. Okay, we're going to add a fill lamp on the left side. So let's find our add button. Dun 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 dun. I don't have an add button. That means I need to find one. So to get my add button, this is my 3D viewer, right? And on the left, remember, if you have a little plus sign, that means that you've got a panel there. So there's my tool shelf. As soon as I added my tool shelf, then I suddenly have an add button down here. Okay, so let's see. I think you could also do it under the create tab on the left side if you have it. Let's look if it lets you create. Yeah, you can. You can create a spot here, or you can go to add lamp spot here. Either way, so you're going to do spot, and then you want to make sure that you have your properties shelf open. If it's not open, you have a little plus there. Just click on it, and you have to scroll down, and where it says item, the little drop down, you're going to name it here. So this is going to be called lamp fill L for left. So we're adding a left fill lamp. Okay, now we're going to use this properties panel to change the X, Y, and Z location values and to adjust the rotation values as well. So I need to be able to see what I'm doing. I'm going to try to slide some things over a little bit if I can, so I can see a little better. And you could certainly do the same. Okay, and then I'm also going to change it to my rendered view, just because I'm kind of curious as to how that lighting looks, and you can't really tell and you can't see what changes you're making. So right now, this is the effect that it's having in the background. And I'm going to go back really quick to solid view, and I just want to make sure that that lamp is selected. If it is orange, yes it is. You can always hit the A key to deselect and then right click on it just to make sure that you definitely have it selected. Okay, and then once that's selected, I'm going back into my rendered view so that I can actually visually see the changes that we're going to be making, okay, to the X, Y, and Z values. So let's see here. Sorry, just trying to get to the point in the video where I can see them all.
Set the rotation Z fill to -15.
Okay, sorry about that. All right, so this is how the K-12 lesson has it set up. They have the X value, and remember your bottom corner, it shows you where your axes are at. So your X axis is the horizontal axis going left and right. Your z-axis is going up and down, which means that your y-axis by default, since it's not shown, is the depth, and it's going to be your moving forward or moving backward. Okay, so your x value is going to be set at -10. -10, hit enter. Okay, and so that x value moved it, I'm assuming here, to the left 10. And then your y value, you're going to set to -5. -5, hit enter. And that would have moved it backwards into the stage. And then your z value, you'll want to set to 4 and hit enter. Okay. And now your x rotation value, set that to 40 degrees, enter. Your y value, set that to -60 degrees, enter. And your z value, set that to -15 degrees, enter. Okay, and so with the lighting that you have right now, then there is a shadow that's being cast by your curtain, and I think that that is something that is going to be taken care of very soon. Removing shadows. On a real stage, you'd need to add more lights to remove shadows. With 3D modeling, you can change an object's settings to make it stop casting shadows. To remove shadows, you'll turn off the traceable button for the object's material. This way, the material won't be used to create shadows when you render using ray tracing. Okay, so I'm going to go back into solid mode because I need to select the first curtain. So I'm going to right click and make sure the first curtain is selected. And then in your materials panel, and remember, you can change any of the areas on your Blender interface to materials. So if you can't find your materials, let's see. It's actually called properties, okay? So you can hover over that. It's called properties. So you would click on this properties right here if for some reason you can't find this materials box, okay? So then you're going to scroll over and find the one that actually says materials. And now you have to scroll all the way over or down depending on which area you're using to find options. And once you found that, click on the traceable to deselect traceable. And then let's go ahead and switch it back to rendered view and take a look. So, hey, look at that. There's no cast shadows by the curtains anymore. Sweet. No specular. No specular is a lamp setting that keeps the light from reflecting off objects. When you have a lot of lamps in a scene, it's good to use this setting for some of the lamps to limit the number of reflected lights. You'll use this setting for the fill lamp on the next page. Now, before I go any further, I wanted to just talk about lighting. I feel like sometimes the K-12 lessons have us like entering numbers into X, Y, Z values and entering numbers into boxes, and all we're doing is just mindlessly entering numbers, and we really don't have any idea why we're doing it, right? So remember that you have a Blender manual, okay? And all I do to get into this manual is I just do a search in Google, and then I'll look for the answers that have docs.blender.org. Remember that? And so this one is a search that brought up lighting, lamp tops, spotlights. Just if you have questions and you want to know the whys, there's a lot of information. And it's a little disappointing that our content doesn't go further into depth and explain these things to us. It's kind of tragic because I feel like it's not teaching why we're doing things. I'm just going to read a little bit. I think I might have had this page up because I had done a search on ray traced shadows. I'm like, so they're going to have us click on ray shadow, but they're not explaining why. And so let's just take a look at this. Most lamp types, lamp, spot, and sun, share the same options for the ray traced shadows generation, which are described below. Note that the area lamp, even though using most of these options, has specifics described in its own ray traced shadows page. The ray shadow button enables the light source to generate ray traced shadows. So I guess what that's like is it's just like the rays of the sun, the way when they come down and they hit an object, it creates a shadow, right? I think that that is mimicking the rays of the sun or the rays of any type of light, okay? I think that's all it is. So when the ray shadow button is selected, another set of options is made available, and I'm not going to go into that, but just there is more information. This was something that I thought was interesting, is soft size. Light size for the ray shadow sampling. The slider determines the size of the fuzzy diffuse penumbra area around the edge of the shadow. Soft size only determines the width of the soft shadow size, not how graded and smooth the shadow is. If you want a wide shadow, which is almost soft and finely graded, you must also set the number of samples in the samples field higher than 1. So I just wanted to show you these images. So like if you have your soft size at 1, this is the edge of the shadow. See how the width of the softness of it is kind of small. And then as you increase your soft size, here's 2, you'll notice, and there's different samples. So a sample of 2 gives, it's a little grainy. A sample of 4, it's a little smoother. A sample of 6. But notice the width of the soft edge is wider. And then down here for a soft size of 3, it really starts to scatter, especially with a sample of 2. A size of 3 with a sample of 6 gives a really nice soft edge that isn't pixely and grainy looking. So with that in mind, let's move forward here and try to make sense of this. So I'm using my scroll button right now and I'm scrolling out. I need to actually get into solid view. So come with me into solid view. There we go. And the reason why I'm scrolling out is because remember how we moved that left lamp out? We actually couldn't see it anymore. I mean, we saw where the cursor had been placed, but the lamp's way out here in La La Land. So right now the curtain is selected and we need to select the lamp. So right click on your lamp and you can see the actual cone way out here, right? And what we're going to do is in your properties, what is this called? Yeah, properties. You're going to select this data button for your light. And you're going to change the distance to 30 and then just watch what happens to the cone when you do that. It's going to increase the distance. So the cone went out a little bit further. I'm not sure what they were thinking when they did that, but we're just following directions. The energy you're going to change to 3. Okay, and then they wanted us to change the lighting to more of a blue color. So while you can just grab your slider and move it where you want it to get the color that you desire, they're going to have us click on that field and we're going to change the red. And I was pretty close. Whoops, I'm going to change that to 0.65. Enter. 0.65, enter. And then green will be 0.9, enter. 0.9, enter. And blue will be 0.95, enter. 0.95, enter. And then that gives us this pretty little color here. Perfect. The next thing I believe they wanted us to do is to click on ray shadow. Oops, wait, nope, specular. Do you remember it talked about specular? It said if you don't want the light to create another highlight reflecting off objects, to click on or click off specular. Okay? So we're going to get rid of the specular, and now this light is not going to create a glare or reflection off of the objects in there because we already have other light sources that are going to do that. Okay, now click on ray shadow, and there's that sampling that I was talking about, and they've got us changing the sample to 60. Woo, that's pretty big. And changing the soft size to 0.15. So samples is 60 and soft size is 0.15. Linked duplicates are objects that share the same settings. When you change a setting for one object, the linked duplicate is changed as well. The location and rotation of each linked object can be different. You'll create a linked duplicate of the fill lamp on the next page. So in essence, what we're going to be doing is making a copy of this, and we're going to move it over to the right side of the stage. Okay, so to do that, just make sure that you have the fill lamp selected, which I do because everything's orange, and you'll go to the object menu. So remember last time we talked about this, if that's away, you might, whoop, there it is. Nope, I see it still. Okay, so I'm going to click on the object menu, and I'm looking for duplicate linked. So these are going to be linked, which means that the light settings will be the same, even though they're in a different location. The shortcut is Alt D is in duplicate. Okay, so click there. And then you'll notice when you move your cursor, it just naturally is stuck to your cursor. So you can just click anywhere you want. I mean, if you wanted to just place it someplace, you know, over to the right where you think it's about right where it's going to be, you could. And what we're going to do is get our property panels open. So if that's closed, click your plus to open that up. Set your X value to 10, hit enter. Your Y value should already be at -5. If it's not, you can change it to -5. And your Z value should be at 4 and hit enter. Good job. Alrighty, and then your rotation X value, let's change that to -10, hit enter. The Y rotation will be +60, enter. And your Z should still be -15. Nope, I was wrong. -45. Your Z field is -45. And when you look down here in your properties, you can see that the property values are exactly the same. The specular is off, the distance is 30, the energy is 3. We still have that pretty blue color. And your ray shadow samples and soft sizes are still set the same way the other lamp was set. The only thing that we need to do is name this lamp. So let's go ahead and scroll down to where it says item. And instead of that being called lamp fill L, it's going to be called lamp fill R because it's on the right. And hit enter. All right, should we take a look at what we've got here? Let's go ahead and click on our rendered view. And I'm gonna scroll in so I can see it closer, just using my scroll button. And give it a second to render. Looks pretty pixelated. There it goes. It's starting to get smoother. I guess those lamps cause that rendering to slow way down. Okay, I'm going to save now. Will you save with me? File, save as, and you're just going to call this Unit 3 version 3 for Lab 3, and we're going to hit enter twice. Awesome. Yeah, that's really taking a long time to render. That's okay. So you've got Lab 3 done. Woohoo! In this lab, you added a fill light to the project to lighten the shadows. You changed the curtain material so it no longer casts shadows, and you created a linked duplicate of the fill light. Wow, good job.